What happens when a superpower collapses without a war? How does an empire with nuclear weapons, millions of soldiers, and half the world under its influence simply disappear? In 1991, the Soviet Union shocked the world, not by losing a battle, but by falling apart from within. For nearly 50 years, the Soviet Union stood as one of the two dominant superpowers of the world. It controlled Eastern Europe, challenged the United States globally, and projected immense military and ideological power. But beneath that image of strength, the system was deeply broken. By the early 1980s, the Soviet economy was stagnating. Innovation had slowed, corruption was widespread, and the Communist Party was losing the trust of its people. When Mikhail Gorbachev came to power in 1985, he believed reform was the only way forward. He introduced Glasnost, meaning openness, and Perestroika, meaning economic and political restructuring. These reforms were meant to save the system. Instead, they exposed its weaknesses. Years of censorship collapsed, revealing corruption, repression, and economic failure. The command economy began to unravel. Between 1990 and 1991, Soviet GDP fell sharply, inflation surged, and ordinary citizens saw their savings disappear. At the same time, nationalism exploded across the Soviet Union. The Baltic states demanded independence. Ukraine, Georgia, and others followed. What had once been tightly controlled republics now openly challenged Moscow's authority. In August 1991, communist hardliners attempted a coup to stop Gorbachev's reforms and restore control. Tanks entered Moscow, but the plot collapsed within days. Boris Yeltsin, president of the Russian Republic, emerged as a symbol of resistance. The failed coup destroyed what little authority the Soviet leadership still had. Soon after, republics began declaring independence one by one. In December 1991, Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus signed the Belavasia Accords, officially dissolving the Soviet Union. Gorbachev resigned on December 25th. By the end of the year, the USSR was gone, replaced by 15 new nations. The global impact was immediate. The Cold War ended. The United States emerged as the sole superpower. Eastern Europe moved toward democracy and market economies, with many later joining NATO and the European Union. But for Russia, the collapse brought chaos. The 1990s were marked by economic collapse, rising crime, inequality, and loss of global status. This instability eventually paved the way for Vladimir Putin, who promised order and national strength. The collapse of the Soviet Union was more than the end of a country. It was a lesson to the world. Power can look unshakable, yet fall apart when legitimacy, unity, and trust disappear. And when an empire collapses, its aftershocks don't fade quickly. They shape global politics for decades to come.